Well, good evening and welcome to this program. This is the Limelight and my name is Tsima Apollo. Now, this week on 15th June 2022, teachers in Uganda under the umbrella body Uganda National Teachers Union went on strike, protesting disparities in remuneration of teachers as government implements a new policy which prioritizes science teachers over arts teachers. Well, the teachers are on strike, though the plan has been hampered by dissent within the teachers' fraternity, as some teachers, even arts teachers, stayed in class, while their counterparts, the science teachers, are wholly not in support of industrial action. Yes, we have seen it. And whenever it happens, the learners suffer the consequences of industrial action. And that is the reason we need to interrogate this new policy, the implications of this strike. And that is why we have Mr. Patrick Kaboyo on the line. And Patrick Kaboyo is an education consultant, but he's again a technical advisor, education advocacy network. I need to connect with Patrick Kaboyo and ask him these questions. Patrick, if you are live, loud and clear, tell us exactly what or whether you think there is any justification as to why teachers should be going on strike, especially at this time, very critical moment, when we have learners preparing for exams soon. And in any way, I would ask if you find the reason that is being advanced by these teachers, discrimination, that is the reason they advance. Do you find that reason really valid?
Thank you so much, Apollo, and all viewers that are tuned in to Salt Media. First of all, I want to state that I'm a parent, and I know that you are also a parent, and there are very many parents who are watching us. But in this, we want really to say that what teachers are doing is within their constitutional right to exercise their right to demonstrate or show unjust conditions. And of course, when we look at the doctrine of fairness and equity, we want to see that there shouldn't be discrimination. And of course, you should know that Article 30 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda guarantees the right to education to every Ugandan. But this right has to be exercised when the duty bearers are doing their part and the right holders are doing their part. And the duty bearers in this case is government. If you are wearing a trouser, Apollo, like I am wearing, there is no trouser that has one leg or a shirt that has one sleeve. So you have to have it complete sleeves so that you wear it properly and people see you that you are complete. So you cannot teach citizens of this country by having their counterparts of sciences paid highly and their counterparts in arts paid differently, of course, with low morale, and that demoralizes, because when we are in schools, we are not in shops, we are not in merchandise, we are not selling goods, we are dealing with human capital. We are dealing with people's children whose minds have to be built in terms of the head, that is the cognitive domain, the heart, and those are the values, and then the hand. So we teach the head, the heart, and the hands. But if you have a teacher whose value system is already on a wrong note because he's not motivated, he's dissatisfied, he has issues, you know that will just transport that very thing to the child, because you know, in computer language we say garbage in, garbage out. You reap what you sow, and equally there can't be smoke without fire. So the call here is really for government to think twice, or to first make a step forward before it makes that, first make a step backward before they make the step forward of increasing omnibus. Because teachers of arts have a case to present, and also as parents we are asking, what's the spirit in this? What's the intention? And if the intention is good, then the teachers of the other sleeve, as I said, ought not to demonstrate. But we know that we have just concluded 2 years of lockdown, where there has been a lot of learning loss registered, teenage pregnancy. You know, there were low motivation among the teaching force. And now when we bring issues of salaries that are not harmonized, we are likely to have a second loss that is significant. And the losers in this are the parents and the learners. We might not see the implication of this, Apollo and viewers who are with us, within 1, 2, or 3 years. It's going to be long term. It's going to be manifesting in the poor manpower that we are going to have, because time lost cannot be recovered. So government has to get to the table and harmonize remuneration. Government has to play good and has to avoid the backlash that causes, let's say for instance, you have a local government, let's say Kampala Capital City Authority, or let's go to Entebbe municipality, where you have a town clerk who supervises all heads of department in that town or in that configuration. But you'll find that the medical officer, because he's a scientist, is earning more than the town clerk who is his supervisor. And of course, you know, if somebody earns more than you, however big you are, he still earns more. You will sign his check, but you know that financially is more powerful than you. So in order to correct that human resource mischief, there has to be a salaries commission for this country to ensure that everybody is paid equal money of equal work of equal value done. But also, Apollo, you know that going forward, these scientists are good, yes, they have taught science, but we have not seen a number of innovations that they have put forth. For instance, schools are struggling with reagents in terms of science practicals. Schools are struggling with costs for science apparatus, and we have not seen a group of science teachers who have innovated and have reduced expenditure on science equipment. Maybe they have used the environment. I have not heard reports from Makerere University really telling us that for the past 5 years, they have registered a number of innovations as a result of the teachers who are in the Faculty of Education, including Chambogo, to do with innovations that can attract such an astronomical pay that is given. But that said, I feel the pay should be an incentive to appreciate an innovation, which is scientific innovation, or an invention for that matter. But if we just have it as a statement, and I also want to say that it is not policy as yet, because it has not undergone all processes, including consultation, wide consultation, and education of the public about it. As a parent, of course, if we are consulted on it, you can guess what the answers will be. And also, it can breed domestic violence. Imagine if your wife is a teacher of science and is earning far higher than you, and for you are the husband who is an arts teacher, and of course the kids know that, oh, mommy earns 3 times or 4 times bigger than daddy, and of course sometimes salaries might not come, but of course conversations will be to the fore that, you know, mommy is a teacher of science and she earns better than daddy, and of course that demoralizes learners who can choose which vocations or professions to undertake. But that said, when we are teaching in the classroom, we consider learners as individuals and not groups. So teachers should be motivated and supported to build the capacity and enhance the knowledge and skills that these learners have, not boxing them in the corner to say that now I want you to be scientists by force. They should be left to choose which vocations depending on the capacity and the skills and the competence they have. And if we are to do that, there shouldn't be discrimination in terms of pay and discrimination in terms of which faculty one should be in.
Patrick, we are talking about a policy that has moved to another level, because as we are all aware, in the budget that was read this week, there is an allocation specifically for improving remuneration for science teachers. The allocation is there, and for their counterparts, it has not been captured anywhere. And well, there has been a lot of conversation around this issue, I mean, leading to this allocation in the budget. Why have not your views, the views you are advancing now, not been captured during those conversations?
Not captured, Apollo, because there has not been consultation. I recall that last year during the celebration of the World Teachers' Day at Kololo, where I was present, the Uganda National Teachers Union did make a presentation to HE, the president, and tried to guide as teachers about what should be done. But HE, the president, had his position and he stuck to his guns and said he knows what he was doing, and he was the president of this country. But that said, for me, the way forward is to dialogue, because as we say, there can't be smoke without fire. The fact that you see your child at home crying or scratching the skin, it means that there is something on the skin that should be checked. And this therefore means that the doors for dialogue must be open. But suffice to say, Apollo and viewers, that this has been a directive and a thinking from HE, the president, but I don't think it has undergone proper channels of how policies should be made in this country. And when we say it is policy, I have my reservations, because I would want to ask, when was the regulatory impact assessment done about this policy? I would also ask, have we followed through the records that the Uganda National Examinations Board has in terms of performance of science? And when we are talking about science teachers, we are looking at both physical and natural sciences. But it's very, very wrong, and I want to reiterate it, that it's wrong to think that teachers of science should be categorized from secondary schools. Teachers of science should be categorized right from nursery schools, and we build that foundation in ECD, saying that we are going to bake our scientists right from the right source. That's the foundation. So if the consideration for remuneration for teachers of science is to take effect, we shouldn't have an up-bottom approach. We should have a bottom-up, and we mean that we should have cohorts. We should say we are going to structure the payment of teachers of science from the nursery school to primary school as the first cohort in the first 2 financial years, and we shall have the next cohort, which is secondary and maybe tertiary, and grow it going up, because that is the natural growth. But when we say we are considering teachers of science at a certain level and leaving others behind, we are already contradicting the Sustainable Development Goals tagline of leaving no one behind. We shall have left behind teachers of science in very many Ugandan primary schools, and that is the biggest subsector, but also nursery schools when teachers are teaching concepts of numbers, concepts of ranking, identification of colors. Those are science concepts. But I don't know why we choose to call it a policy when the characteristics it has taken do not denote that it is a policy. It is a directive which should be subjected to dialogue and input, as we are saying, because we have a stake in the affairs of this country that education must be handled rightly so that we have a good country that is productive and competitive globally. Apple and viewers, that should be our focus.
Your position, you say it's not a policy, it's just a directive, but now it has been captured in the budget for the next financial year. The science teachers are warming up for an increased payout next month of July. Now, let's go back to what you talked about could be the implications of this decision. You talked about it may breed, you said it may breed domestic violence. You talked about human resource mischief, and again you talked about that depleted morale in the teachers. Talk about briefly the implication to the student, especially with the teacher who will be standing in class if they happen to go back with that depleted morale.
Apple and viewers, you cannot force a smile, or you cannot force laughter, or you cannot force somebody to wear a face that they are not representing in the inner man. And for this to be real, we have to consider the two factors of motivation, the intrinsic and the extrinsic. Of course, we shall have very many teachers in the classroom pretending to teach, but internally, they will not be present in class. And we know that schools have staff rooms. We are likely to see some teachers deserting classrooms. We are likely to see cases of sickness that is faked, because if a teacher really has no morale, can easily tell you, I'm sick, I won't come to school. And if you subject it to medical examination, you may find that this teacher indeed is stressed, is depressed, and those are cases for medical exclusion. So for us to be able to move forward, we need to see that the actions, intentions, and processes we are involved in do not interfere with the learning of the children at all levels, because teachers must be taken carefully as drivers. If you are a boss and you have a driver and you know that this driver you are tormenting or you are not treating well, so if you, let's say you are going to Kisoro and you are through those corners, you have to say your prayers very well, because you know this driver maybe has not had breakfast, but you have had yours. This driver did not sleep, but you had a good sleep. So equally, when you leave teachers to be the sole guarantors of the future of children, because the biggest part of life of these children is in the hands of teachers, and you leave a section not motivated, you are causing a sharp corner problem as we move in the teaching and learning process. But that said, you will not be able to harvest the dividends or to see what really this means. But after 5 or so years to come, you will now come to learn that, wow, this is what the implication has produced. And in that, you'll find that we shall not be able to cure the problem, and those that will be there might not understand the processes. So what we have to do is to subject the thinking and the directive to scientific processes that parents, learners, teachers must be consulted to know what this means in the short term, in the medium term, but also in the long term. You will find that we are in a business of forcing learners to do what parents want. For instance, you force your daughter to go to university and do medicine or engineering, but this child is interested somewhere else. Immediately the degree is awarded, comes back and says, "Daddy, I've got your degree, kindly allow me to pursue my dream." And when you pursue your dream, it should not be forced by this teacher saying, "You see, because I'm paid so highly, I also want you to be paid so highly, so in future you have to be scientists, please do science." You force them, not knowing that their cognitive abilities are different, and my children, Apollo, are different from yours, and also your children are different from those children of other people. So that said, I would propose that we go back to the basics, we go back to the drawing board and make sure that this policy direction is redirected, is stewarded, and is put in the right position, that it should not discriminate, but it should be embracing, because every teacher deserves equal pay of equal work of equal value.
Well, thank you so much, Patrick. I really treasure your time, and thank you so much for those insightful ideas and of course being part of this insightful discussion. We look forward to that engagement, and the policymakers must be watching and following what is happening. Well, in just one word, do you think there is goodwill for the engagements? Just one word.
Yes, the goodwill is there. Teachers are very rational, are very polite, and what they demand is just a humble avenue for them to be listened to.
Thank you so much again, and I appreciate your time. Viewers, that's it. We wait to see whether the engagements will be on and will be fruitful. But as we speak, only science teachers are in class. What a mess. And how can it be resolved? My name is Simapolo. Until next week, this is